Welcome to Buddha Path. This is a place where we explore the timeless teachings of Buddhism and Zen, helping you find calm and clarity before the end of your day. Here, we aim to guide you to a peaceful heart and mind, making the transition to rest smoother and more restful. Imagine waking up every day with a heart grounded in peace. Your mind is calm, steady, untouched by the worries of yesterday or the uncertainties of tomorrow. You rise not in haste, but in harmony, as if the day itself is unfolding gently around you. You look at the world, and everything seems brighter. The people you love feel warmer. Your work feels purposeful, and even life's challenges seem smaller, lighter, as if they no longer hold the power to overwhelm you. This isn't some distant dream, reserved only for those in remote temples, or for those who are lucky enough to stumble upon peace. No, this is within reach for all of us here and now. Buddhism offers a clear and practical path that helps us find it wherever we are in life. But let's face it, in today's world, maintaining happiness can often feel impossible, like trying to hold on to sunlight with your bare hands. We live in a world of constant pressure, deadlines, expectations, and the noise of social media. Inner self-doubt creeps in, and distractions are endless. Struggles seem to appear unexpectedly, and sometimes, even when everything seems fine on the outside, we feel lost within. So how can we truly anchor ourselves in a sense of lasting contentment when the world around us is constantly changing and pulling us in different directions? The answer lies not in changing the world, but in transforming our relationship with it. Buddhism teaches us a profound and liberating truth. Real happiness doesn't come from what happens to us, but from how we respond to what happens. Joy is not about trying to control life. It's about how we learn to relate to it. It's not about making life simpler. It's about responding to life more wisely. Picture this. You've had one of those draining, frustrating days where worries seem to press down on you like a heavy weight. But then in the middle of that chaos, you take a simple step. You pause, take a deep breath, and in the quiet of that moment, you remember the Buddha's teaching. This too shall pass. And with that thought, something shifts. You realize that this moment, no matter how overwhelming, is temporary. It doesn't define you, and it certainly doesn't have the power to steal your peace. In that simple breath change begins not in your external world, but within you. You come to see that peace isn't something to chase after. It's something to return to. It was never gone, only hidden beneath layers of worry, fear, and resistance. Through mindfulness, compassion, and the present moment, that peace emerges once again. That is the essence of Buddhist wisdom. It doesn't promise a life without difficulty, but it offers something far more powerful: the ability to meet life, no matter how imperfect, with grace, clarity, and inner strength. So if you find yourself searching for peace, stop chasing it. Instead, turn inward, because it's already there, rooted in you, always waiting to be rediscovered. Welcome to a journey where the timeless wisdom of Buddhism meets the challenges of modern living, offering fresh clarity and insight into how we can face life with a peaceful heart. The search for lasting happiness begins not in the external world, but within. Whether you're weathering a storm or simply longing for more peace in your daily life, this path offers more than just comfort. It promises transformation. We begin by embracing where all true healing starts: understanding suffering. The first noble truth of Buddhism doesn't sugarcoat reality. It tells us plainly that life brings pain, not because we've done something wrong, but because change, loss, and uncertainty are woven into the very fabric of existence. It often feels like carrying a weight we never chose: stress, illness, anxiety about the future, regret about the past. And as we chase happiness, it seems like a distant mirage that always slips further away. But here's the powerful paradox: recognizing suffering is actually the first step toward true peace. Buddhism doesn't ask us to be pessimistic. It asks us to be honest. It encourages us to face life with open eyes and a courageous heart. We suffer not only from the pain itself, but from our resistance to it, from clinging to what's fading, from denying what hurts, and from the illusion that if we just keep moving fast enough, we can outrun discomfort. We live in a world of impermanence. People change, bodies age, and precious moments slip away. The more we grip tightly, the more we suffer when these things inevitably shift. Buddhism teaches us that everything is in motion, and it's our attachment to what is changing, not the change itself, that often breaks us. Here's where the shift happens. The problem isn't suffering itself, but how we respond to it. Many of us build walls to shield ourselves. We numb the pain, reach for distractions, fill our time with a show, a scroll, or a to-do list. Anything to avoid the ache. But pain avoided is simply pain postponed. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. It will always find its way back to the surface, stronger, harder, and more insistent. What if instead of resisting, we sat with our pain? Imagine pausing and naming what hurts, letting it breathe. Allow yourself to mourn what has been lost, not to stay there, but to create space for something new. When we face our pain directly, it begins to loosen its grip. When we stop hiding from our wounds, we begin to heal. This is the quiet revolution. Buddhism invites us to participate in, not to escape pain, but to move through it with awareness, acceptance, and compassion. This isn't resignation, it's liberation. Only when we stop pretending we're fine can we truly begin to feel free. So wherever you are on your journey, whether tired, uncertain, or quietly searching for something more, know this peace doesn't come from pushing pain away. It comes from welcoming yourself exactly as you are. The path is here. You are already on it. Let's continue walking together. Modern life often creates the perfect storm for suffering, but Buddhism teaches us to navigate it by understanding that suffering is an intrinsic part of the human experience. We stop blaming ourselves for feeling human, and we begin to chasing the illusion of perfect happiness often keeps us from finding true contentment in the present. The path to peace is about embracing the now, replacing fear with curiosity, and letting go of the need to control everything. Start small. Notice those beach ball moments where discomfort arises, and instead of distracting yourself, sit with that feeling. Reflect on impermanence. Write about what you've lost and what those experiences have taught you. Consider repeating a mantra each day. I accept that life is impermanent. I choose peace over resistance. The journey to happiness isn't about eradicating pain. It's about shifting our relationship with it. With the guidance of Buddhist wisdom, you can transform even the heaviest burdens into steps toward freedom. In Buddhism, the root of our distress is often found in our resistance to life's natural flow. The Buddha doesn't ask us to escape suffering. Rather, he invites us to face it, acknowledge it, and trace its origins. He calls us to be present with our discomfort, observing it without judgment. This practice is challenging because we've spent years, maybe even decades, crafting habits designed to avoid pain. But what if, instead of fleeing from discomfort, we could simply sit with it, breathe through it, and watch it transform? The suffering doesn't disappear, but our relationship with it evolves. It no longer defines us. We become the observer rather than the victim. There's a profound layer to this teaching. Suffering isn't just about the grand dramatic moments in life, the losses, the tragedies. It also resides in the small, everyday frustrations. The traffic jam that disrupts your day, the phone call you dread answering, or the dishes piling up in the sink. These seemingly minor annoyances can accumulate, shaping our emotional landscape and reinforcing the belief that life is an endless series of struggles. But what if we could shift our perspective on these moments? What if, instead of seeing them as obstacles, we recognize them as invitations to grow? By meeting these everyday challenges with mindful presence, we begin to break down patterns of resistance. We start to dance with life's rhythm, instead of fighting against it, finding resilience and wisdom in the most unexpected places. In Buddhism, every moment of discomfort presents a precious opportunity to cultivate mindfulness, presence, and compassion, both for ourselves and for others. Take a common situation we all encounter: being stuck in traffic. It's easy to let frustration take over. Thoughts like, "I'm going to be late," or "This is so annoying," flood our minds, and we might even think, "Why does this always happen to me?" But the Buddhist teachings offer a different perspective. The root of our suffering in these moments often lies in our attachment to specific outcomes. We've made plans, we want to be somewhere, and when life doesn't cooperate, we experience frustration. But what if, instead of resisting the situation, what if, in those difficult moments, we simply breathed and acknowledged the frustration? What if we let go of the need to control the outcome and allowed ourselves to simply be present in the moment? Imagine yourself stuck in traffic again. Instead of resisting the situation, you take a deep breath and accept what's happening. You might listen to your favorite music, reflect on something positive in your life, or just use the time to relax and gather your thoughts. Suddenly, the traffic isn't an obstacle, it's just part of your day, and you're no longer trying to control it. This is the profound lesson of the first noble truth. It doesn't promise that suffering can be avoided or that hardship won't come our way. Instead, it acknowledges that suffering is an inevitable part of life, and that's okay. What truly matters is how we respond to it. By embracing this truth, we discover that even in our most frustrating moments, we can find peace and freedom through mindfulness and acceptance. So what does this mean for our daily lives? It means that instead of running from our struggles, we begin to see them as opportunities for awareness. Every challenge is an invitation to practice patience, compassion, and mindfulness. Through this practice, we come to understand something crucial. Our happiness doesn't come from avoiding pain, but from learning how to live with it gracefully. We cannot control the world around us, but we can control how we relate to it. Over time, this shift in perspective can bring about a deep sense of peace. Imagine waking up each day knowing that whatever comes your way, whether it's a challenge at work, a disagreement with a friend, or even personal loss, you have the ability to face it with an open heart and a clear mind. The weight of suffering doesn't have to crush you. Instead, it becomes something you can carry with dignity, knowing that it's not the end of the story. It's just a part of your journey, At the heart of Buddhist wisdom lies a truth that many spend their whole lives avoiding. The path to freedom isn't about eliminating suffering. It's about letting go of the belief that life should be free of it. We live in a world that constantly tells us to chase happiness, comfort, and success. We are taught that if we're not feeling good all the time, something must be wrong. But the Buddha's teachings cut through this illusion with quiet clarity. The first noble truth is not a message of despair, it's a message of hope. It tells us that suffering is real, yes, but it is also workable and transformable. True happiness, the kind that cannot be shaken by life's ups and downs, doesn't come from controlling our circumstances. It doesn't come from always feeling comfortable or getting everything we want. True happiness comes from the peace we cultivate within. It arises when we stop fighting reality and begin to meet it with awareness. Acceptance and compassion are at the heart of this journey. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, lost, or restless, remember this: you're not doing life wrong. You're simply experiencing what it means to be human. Don't run from the discomfort. Don't numb it. And don't drown it in distractions. Instead, pause, breathe, observe, and ask yourself, what is this moment trying to teach me? Every struggle, every ache, every disappointment carries within it the seed of transformation. And when you choose to stay present, to gently witness your pain instead of resisting it, you begin to shift your relationship with suffering. You stop being its prisoner and start becoming its alchemist. But to truly understand suffering, we must also explore its cause. Buddhism teaches that the root of suffering lies in three powerful forces: desire, attachment, and the natural aging of the soul. Desire says, I need more. Attachment says, I must hold on. And the aging soul whispers, I fear change. Together, they create a cycle of discontent, a longing for something just beyond reach, a clinging to what cannot stay. Let's step into a moment of reflection. Imagine you're sitting beside a quiet river. The water moves effortlessly around the rocks, glistening in the light. For a moment, everything feels still. You feel at peace, connected to something deeper than words. But then your mind drifts. You start thinking about what you've lost, what you haven't achieved, what you desperately wish was different. Suddenly, the river no longer feels calm. The peaceful stillness dissolves. You're pulled out of presence and into lack. This is what desire and attachment do. They hijack the moment, take something sacred, and make it feel insufficient. Yet the river hasn't changed. You have. Your perception has shifted not because reality became worse, but because your thoughts did. This is the human experience. We sit beside peace every day, but we miss it because we're too busy reaching for something else. We think happiness is somewhere down the river, when all along it's right here, if only we'd let go of the need for it to be different. So how do we move forward? We do what the Buddha taught. We watch, we breathe, we loosen our grip on what we crave and begin to cherish what already is. We stop resisting change and start flowing with it. We meet suffering with compassion, and in doing so, we begin to heal. This isn't a quick fix. It's a practice, a path, a lifelong return to the only place real peace ever lives within. Every time you choose presence over distraction, surrender over resistance, you are walking that path, one breath at a time, one moment closer to freedom. The Buddha once said, "Desire is the root of all suffering." This simple statement has been at the core of Buddhist philosophy for thousands of years. It speaks to a truth that many of us overlook in our daily lives are external circumstances that cause us unhappiness, but our attachment to them. Our dissatisfaction often arises from the desires we hold deep within. And these desires are not limited to material things like money or possessions. They also include the longing for approval, love security, or success. But why do these desires have such a powerful grip on us? Why do they lead to so much pain? The first thing we need to understand is that all things in life are impermanent. This is one of the fundamental truths of Buddhism, the idea of impermanence or anicca. Nothing lasts forever. Our bodies, age, relationships change, and even our emotions fluctuate. Yet despite this universal truth, we continue to cling to things, people, and situations as though they should remain constant. When we do this, we form attachments, telling ourselves that we need these things to be happy. And when they change or disappear, we suffer. We think about the last time you felt hurt or disappointed. Often it's because something you desired was taken away from you. Maybe it was a job, a relationship, or even an idea of how life should be. You felt a sense of loss, a longing for something that no longer existed. That feeling, my friend, is the suffering caused by attachment. Attachment is like holding onto a piece of driftwood in a stormy sea. The more tightly you cling, the harder it becomes to find peace. Let go, and you'll find it's much easier to float. It's natural to desire things. In fact, desire itself is not the problem. The issue arises when we allow our desires to control us, when we believe our happiness depends on the fulfillment of those desires. If you reflect on your own experiences, you may notice that whenever you feel upset or frustrated, it's often because something you wanted didn't happen as you imagined. You may have wanted more time with your family, more recognition at work, or more peace in your heart. When those things didn't materialize, you felt disappointed. But the truth is, the very act of holding on to those desires, expecting them to fulfill you, sets you up for suffering. Let's look at another example. Imagine you're walking through a forest and come across a beautiful flower. You stop, admire its color, shape, and fragrance. In that moment, there's no desire. You simply appreciate the flower for what it is. But as you continue walking, a thought arises, I wish I could take that flower home with me. It would be so nice to have it on my table to admire it every day. As soon as that thought enters your mind, something shifts inside you, a sense of yearning. The flower, which was once a simple source of beauty, now becomes a symbol of something you lack. That desire, that attachment to possessing the flower, has turned your peaceful enjoyment into longing. This is the cycle of suffering that the Buddha spoke about. It's not the flower itself that causes suffering, it's your attachment to it. In the same way, it's not external events or objects that cause suffering. It's our attachment to them that transforms fleeting moments of happiness into enduring dissatisfaction. The pain you feel in life isn't caused by the circumstances themselves. It's your attachment to how you wish things were, or how you think they should be. But what if you could learn to live without this attachment? What if, instead of holding tightly to every desire, you could simply experience life as it comes, without needing to control it, without needing it to be different from what it is? This, my friend, is the path to freedom from suffering. Buddhism teaches that the root of suffering is not found in the world itself, but in our perception of it. We see the world through the lens of desire, wanting things to be different, wanting them to be better, wanting them to last. But when we learn to see the world as it truly is, impermanent and ever-changing, we can let go of the need for things to stay the same. And in that release, we find peace. This doesn't mean we stop desiring things or stop caring about the people and experiences in our lives. It simply means we let go of the belief that our happiness depends on them. We can love our families without expecting them to always behave in a certain way. We can pursue our goals without believing that success will bring us eternal fulfillment. We can enjoy the beauty of a flower without needing to possess it. Letting go of attachment isn't a simple act. It's a quiet rebellion against everything the world has conditioned us to chase. We're taught to cling to people outcomes and dreams wrapped in expectations. But what if just for a moment you allowed yourself to imagine a different way of living a life not ruled by longing or the relentless pursuit of more, but grounded in calm acceptance? A life where your peace isn't held hostage by things outside your control. Picture this waking up without that aching sense of lack, no gnawing desire to prove yourself, no endless loop of what ifs or what's next. Just you fully present in your life, as it is, content with who you are, where you are, and what's unfolding in real time. That's not a fantasy. That's the kind of freedom that comes when you start loosening your grip on desire and embracing the impermanence of all things. This is the heart of Buddhist wisdom, not cold detachment, but compassionate clarity. It's a way out of suffering that doesn't require escaping the world, but seeing it differently. When you stop demanding that life conform to your expectations, you begin to uncover a deeper kind of joy, one that isn't shaken by change or loss, a love that doesn't cling, a peace that doesn't depend on anything outside yourself. And yes, it's hard at first. Letting go challenges every instinct we've been taught to follow. But with each small release, whether it's of an old belief, a heavy memory, or a fear of missing out, you step closer to something far more powerful than control. You step into freedom. You begin to realize that the people, the possessions, and the outcomes you once clung to were never the true source of happiness. They were mere placeholders, projections, temporary comforts. The real happiness has always been within you. It's in your ability to meet this moment as it is without needing it to be anything else. When you stop grasping life, stop slipping through your fingers, you begin to feel it more intimately, more honestly. You start noticing the beauty in the ordinary, the breath in your lungs, the sunlight on your skin, the silence between thoughts. You begin to live not in reaction to your past or anxiety about your future, but anchored in the present, where peace actually resides. So ask yourself, what are you still holding on to? What are the cravings, the attachments, the old wounds or future fantasies that keep you tethered to dissatisfaction? What if you could begin gently and gradually to let go? What might open up inside you if you stopped fighting the flow of life and started flowing with it? The truth is, the path to real happiness doesn't lie in what you can gain, impress, or hold on to. It lies in what you're willing to release. Peace isn't something you achieve, it's what remains when you stop resisting. The end of suffering isn't found in perfection. It's found in presence and stillness, in surrender. This is how we come home to ourselves, not by holding tighter, but by finally letting go. Suffering is an inevitable part of life, and in Buddhism, we acknowledge it as a universal experience. But it's crucial to remember that suffering doesn't have to define our existence. There is a way to put an end to suffering and live in peace, even amidst life's challenges. This was the profound teaching of the Buddha, a message that has echoed through the centuries and still holds the power to transform our lives today. Imagine for a moment that your mind is like a storm. Thoughts swirl around like gusts of wind, emotions rise and fall like crashing waves, and there seems to be no clear horizon in sight. In the midst of this storm, finding peace feels impossible. But what if I told you that despite the storm, the peace you seek is already there beneath all the noise? In a very real sense, the end of suffering is the end of that inner storm. It's not about the absence of challenges, but about the ability to navigate them with a calm, clear mind. By embracing this wisdom, you can begin to live with the understanding that peace is always within reach, no matter what life brings your way. The Buddhist teachings provide us with a path to find this inner peace. It begins with understanding that our suffering is often rooted in our attachments, the things we hold on to, the desires we chase, and the expectations we set for life. We may want everything to stay the same to avoid discomfort, or to possess things. The things we cling to, whether they bring us temporary pleasure or fleeting comfort, are not the sources of lasting happiness. Life is constantly changing, and when we hold on too tightly to these things, we set ourselves up for suffering. In Buddhism, the concept of impermanence is key. Everything changes: our emotions, our thoughts, the seasons, our relationships, even our bodies. They are all in a constant state of flux. When we try to resist change, we resist life itself, and that resistance only creates suffering. The key to ending suffering is not to control the uncontrollable, but to let go. It's to accept the flow of life and understand that we do not need to hold on to anything forever to be happy. Letting go doesn't mean that we stop caring or abandon the things we love. It means we stop gripping so tightly, allowing ourselves the freedom to experience life without the constant pressure of needing it to be a certain way. When we stop expecting life to fulfill all our desires, we free ourselves from the cycle of disappointment and frustration. The end of suffering is about learning to live with the flow, embracing the changes that come with life, and finding peace in the process. One way to end suffering is through mindfulness, a practice that helps us become fully present in each moment. When we are mindful, we are no longer lost in regrets about the past or anxieties about the future. We learn to appreciate each moment for what it is, whether it's a quiet moment in nature, a conversation with a loved one, or even a challenging situation. Mindfulness allows us to experience life with clarity and understanding. This doesn't mean that life will suddenly become free of challenges, but it does mean that we can approach those challenges with a sense of peace and acceptance. Another important aspect of ending suffering is compassion. Compassion isn't just for others, it's for ourselves as well. We are often our own harshest critics, holding ourselves to impossible standards. We think we should always be strong, always be happy, always be in control. But this is unrealistic. We are human, and we are allowed to feel vulnerable, to feel pain, to experience sadness. Compassion is about acknowledging our own struggles without judgment and treating ourselves with kindness in those moments. It's about recognizing that we are not alone in our suffering and that everyone faces challenges in their lives. When we practice compassion, we release ourselves from the pressure to be perfect and accept ourselves as we are. So how do we begin to walk this path toward the end of suffering? The first step is to recognize that our suffering is not a punishment. It's not a sign that something is wrong with us. suffering is simply part of the human experience, and it is through facing our suffering that we can learn and grow. The Buddhist path offers us tools to navigate this experience with grace and wisdom. The second step on the path to inner peace is perhaps one of the most challenging, yet the most transformative, cultivating awareness of our attachments. These attachments take many forms: our expectations, our need for control, our identity tied to status relationships and outcomes. Often we hold on to these things so tightly, mistaking them for stability or purpose. But with gentle, consistent practice, we can begin to loosen our grip, not by force, but through awareness. Each time we notice ourselves clinging to an idea, a fear, a desire, we create a small space between ourselves and the thing we're attached to. And in that space, freedom begins to grow. The third step is the practice of mindfulness, true grounded embodied presence. It's about bringing ourselves back from the constant spinning of the mind, away from regrets about the past and anxieties about the future, into the only place life is actually happening, the present moment. Through mindfulness, we gain the ability to witness our thoughts and emotions without being consumed by them. We learn to see things clearly, without distortion, even in the middle of difficulty. Mindfulness offers a doorway to peace because it pulls us out of reaction and into awareness. It teaches us that we are not our thoughts, not our fears, not our circumstances. We are the presence observing them. But the journey doesn't end there. To truly transform the way we live, we must also open our hearts. The fourth step is compassion toward ourselves and toward others. We all suffer. We all struggle. And when we begin to see that suffering is universal, we soften. We stop judging so harshly. We become more patient, more kind, more understanding. Compassion isn't weakness, it's resilience. It's what allows us to walk through life's storms without shutting down. It keeps us rooted in love, even when life is hard. Compassion gives us the strength to meet pain without bitterness, to meet challenge without despair. This path, the path out of suffering, is not about avoiding hardship. It's not about pretending life is always beautiful. It's about changing how we relate to what life brings. It's about letting go of the illusion that everything must go our way in order for us to be at peace. Because life will never be perfect. It will never unfold exactly as we plan, and that's okay. We don't need perfection. We need presence. We need wisdom. We need a way of seeing that allows us to hold the chaos and the calm together without losing ourselves in either. The truth is, happiness has never been something you had to chase. It's not waiting at the finish line of your goals. It's not hiding in someone else's approval. It's not dependent on your past being flawless or your future being certain. The peace you seek is already here inside you. Quiet, steady, waiting to be found. This is the real end of suffering. Not escape, but transformation. Not control, but surrender. Not perfection, but presence. When we stop chasing the life we think we need, we finally begin to live the one we already have. In that moment, we discover what has been with us all along, the unshakable peace within. As we move forward on this path, remember that the end of suffering is not a final destination. It's a process. It's something we can begin to experience right now in the present moment. With each step, we move closer to a life filled with peace, acceptance, and inner joy. This is the possibility that Buddhism offers us, and it is available to anyone willing to walk the path. Now let's explore the way forward. the Eightfold Path simplified for daily practice. We have arrived at a crucial moment in our journey, a moment where the path ahead becomes clear. The Eightfold Path, as taught by the Buddha, offers a simple yet profound guide to leading a happier, more peaceful life. But to many, it might seem like an overwhelming list of ideals, abstract concepts, or even just a distant dream. Let me assure you, the Eightfold Path is not something far off or reserved for monks or extraordinary beings. It is for you and me, right here, right now. The beauty of it lies in how practical and real it is for everyday life. The Buddhist teachings may seem distant, but they are meant to be lived in the here and now. The Eightfold Path is not about achieving perfection, but about gradually improving, shifting our habits, and cultivating peace in our thoughts, words, and actions. Each step is a practice that slowly molds us into a person who can find happiness no matter the circumstances. Let's break it down. First, we begin with right view. What does it mean to have the right view? It's about seeing the world as it truly is, understanding that life is filled with both joy and suffering, and realizing that nothing lasts forever. This view gives us a sense of clarity, allowing us to face challenges with a calm mind. Imagine going through a tough day at work, but instead of reacting with frustration, you remember that your emotions and circumstances are temporary. Understanding this is a powerful form of freedom. It shifts the way we see our challenges and encourages us to accept life as it is without resisting it. Then comes right intention. It's not enough to simply see things clearly. We must also intend to act from a place of kindness and compassion. Right intention means living our lives with a sense of purpose, rooted in a commitment to the well-being of others. It's a way of shaping our inner world so that our actions are aligned with goodness. If you think about it, most of our troubles come from intentions rooted in selfish desires, misunderstandings, or harmful impulses. But when we practice right intention, we consciously choose to act with compassion, seeking the welfare of others and ourselves. Thoughts and actions that benefit not only ourselves, but also those around us. Imagine making a simple decision each day to be more compassionate toward a colleague or a family member. It's the kind of shift that slowly changes the tone of your entire life. Next, we have right speech. This one is so simple, yet so powerful. It's about speaking truthfully, kindly, and thoughtfully. How often do we find ourselves speaking without thinking, gossiping, or saying things that hurt others? Right speech is about learning to use our words as tools for healing, not harming. It's about being mindful of the way we communicate with others. Every time we speak with kindness and honesty, we create a ripple of peace in the world around us. Consider this: how many times have you felt a deep connection with someone after a simple conversation where you both listened and spoke openly with respect? This is the power of right speech. Right action comes next. This involves living in a way that reflects our highest values. It's about doing what is morally right, living in harmony with the world around us, and avoiding actions that harm others. Right action is not about perfection. It's about making conscious choices to live with integrity. Whether it's helping someone in need, treating others with respect, or being honest in our work, right action brings peace to our hearts and strengthens our connection to the world. Think of a moment when you help someone even in a small way. It's those acts of kindness, no matter how simple, that make our lives meaningful. Right livelihood is another essential step. It's not just about how we make a living, but also about aligning our work with values that bring good to the world. This doesn't mean we all need to quit our jobs or change careers overnight. It's about finding ways to make our work meaningful. It might be as simple as helping others through our work or creating something that benefits the community. Every action we take, no matter how small, contributes to the larger picture of the world. If you're doing something that brings value to others, you're already practicing right livelihood. Right effort is about cultivating a mind that is clear, focused, and positive. It's about putting in the effort to overcome the distractions and negative habits that cloud our judgment. This step is about persistence and dedication. It's the ability to keep going, even when things get difficult. The Buddha didn't promise that the path to happiness would be easy, but he did promise that with right effort, we can overcome the obstacles in our minds and hearts. Imagine trying to stay calm in a stressful situation. It's not always easy. But when we put in the effort to stay focused and grounded, we build resilience. Every time you resist the urge to react impulsively, you are cultivating the right effort. Right effort leads us to right mindfulness, the practice of being fully present in each moment. It's about being aware of our thoughts, feelings, and actions without judgment. In our busy world, we often rush from one thing to the next, distracted and disconnected. But mindfulness invites us to slow down and fully experience each moment, no matter how small. Think about taking a moment to truly enjoy a cup of tea, noticing the warmth, the taste, and the peace it brings. When we practice mindfulness, we begin to see life with greater depth and richness, learning to appreciate even the smallest moments that might otherwise go unnoticed. This is where true happiness begins, living fully in each moment, appreciating its simple beauty. Finally, we arrive at right concentration, a pillar that supports and strengthens every other aspect of the Eightfold Path. Right concentration is not just about sitting still with your eyes closed. It's about cultivating a deep, steady focus. It's the art of quieting the noise, clearing away distractions, and learning to direct the full light of your attention toward what truly matters. In a world that constantly pulls us in 1,000 directions, this is nothing short of revolutionary. Think about the last time you were completely immersed in something. Maybe reading a novel that spoke to your soul, tending to your garden with your bare hands in the soil, or losing track of time in a deep, honest conversation. In those moments, you weren't scattered or anxious. You were present, centered, alive. That is the essence of right concentration. And through consistent meditation, this state of focused presence becomes something we can intentionally return to again and again. Without concentration, even the best intentions falter. We might understand the right view, but lose it in moments of stress. We might want to speak kindly, but find ourselves reacting out of habit. Concentration gives us the space to pause, reflect, and choose our response, rather than being ruled by impulse. It's what allows us to show up to life not half asleep, not distracted, but awake, clear, and grounded. The Eightfold Path isn't a checklist. It's not a one-time achievement. It's a lifelong practice, a way of living that becomes more refined and meaningful as we walk it. Like learning to play an instrument, it takes time, repetition, and patience. Mastery isn't about doing it perfectly. It's about deepening your awareness. Each step, each stumble, each return to the path is part of the journey toward greater peace, integrity, and clarity. So today, take a breath and reflect. Where in your life are you scattered? Where might you begin to invite more focus, more presence, more mindfulness? And where might you need to recommit to show up again, not with pressure, but with compassion? Because this path is yours uniquely and beautifully. Yours, and each step you take, no matter how small, is a movement toward the happiness and purpose your soul has always been seeking. As we walk this path, we inevitably age. The seasons change, the years pass, and the body once so full of motion, vitality, and youth begins to slow. Wrinkles appear like poetry on the skin joints, ache a little more, and memories blur around the edges. These signs are not flaws. They are invitations to embrace a deeper kind of wisdom, a new kind of strength. Aging is not a loss. It is a transformation. It brings a rare clarity, a sharpening of what matters, and a shedding of what does not. The urgency of youth gives way to the stillness of presence, and with mindfulness, we can begin to see this phase of life not as a decline, but as a ripening, a chance to embody grace, patience, and a profound spiritual youthfulness that has nothing to do with the number of candles on your birthday cake. Yes, there may be moments of regret. We may look back and wonder where the time went, or wish we had lived certain years more fully. But the truth is, the most vibrant version of you is not locked in the past. It is the you who is awake right now. The you who is willing to soften, reflect, and show up with wisdom in your eyes and compassion in your heart. This is the gift of mindfulness. As we age, it keeps us young, where it matters most, in spirit, in connection, in love. And in every breath, we are given a new beginning. So let the mirror reflect not just your aging skin, but your maturing soul. Let it remind you of how far you've come and how much more life there is to live, not in years, but in presence. Peace isn't found by holding on to the past. It's found by meeting the present moment with open arms. And in that presence, we discover something timeless within us, something untouched by age beyond fear, and anchored in the quiet power of simply being here. But what if I shared with you a transformative perspective? Aging does not inherently mean a decline into obscurity. On the contrary, it can serve as a profound gateway for awakening to dimensions of existence that are deeper, more meaningful, and imbued with a sense of inner peace. When approached with the appropriate mindset, aging becomes a fertile ground for spiritual growth and the cultivation of mental clarity. It presents us with the invaluable chance to develop wisdom, born from life's experiences, patience honed by time, and a more profound comprehension of both our inner selves and the world that surrounds us. By consciously embracing the aging process through the lens of mindfulness, we have the power to transmute it into a journey of ongoing learning and self-discovery, rather than perceiving it as a period of decline. Buddhism imparts a profoundly insightful teaching. Genuine happiness is not. Happiness is not derived from attempts to evade the natural process of aging, or from clinging desperately to the fleeting essence of youth. Instead, it arises from our capacity to embrace each moment with mindfulness and awareness. Mindfulness is the exquisite art of being fully present, right here, right now. It involves directing our attention to our thoughts, emotions, and surroundings without succumbing to judgment. When we diligently practice mindfulness, we break free from the autopilot mode that often characterizes modern existence. We begin to experience life with greater depth and richness, learning to appreciate even the smallest moments that might otherwise go unnoticed. As we age, we may notice that our bodies aren't as strong as they once were. Our energy may feel different, and we may need more rest, than we used to. But in that very process, there is an opportunity to become more mindful of our bodies, how we treat ourselves, and how we treat others. Aging doesn't have to be a process of decline. It can be a time of growth, a time of inner awakening. In Buddhism, there's a beautiful teaching about impermanence. It reminds us that everything in life is constantly changing, and that includes us. We are not meant to stay the same, and that is perfectly okay. When you become mindful of this truth, you begin to see the beauty in the changing seasons of your life. Every wrinkle, every gray hair, every moment of wear and tear on your body is a sign that you've lived. They are not signs of loss, but of experience, wisdom, and growth. The wisdom that comes with aging can only be reached through mindfulness. When you live mindfully, you begin to truly understand what matters. You stop chasing fleeting things and start to value what lasts, the love you share, the peace you find within yourself, the simple joys that come with each new day. In fact, mindfulness has been shown to help us age more gracefully, both physically and mentally. Studies have found that mindfulness can reduce stress, improve memory, and even boost the immune system. When we are mindful, we aren't letting our worries or regrets about the past or future control us. Instead, we focus on the present moment, where we have the power to find peace and clarity. Mindfulness helps us let go of the unnecessary clutter in our minds and hearts, so we can live more simply, more fully, and more joyfully. Many people find that as they age, their minds become clouded by worry. They begin to dwell on past mistakes or anxieties about the future. But the more we practice mindfulness, the more we start to realize that those worries are just illusions. The past is gone and the future is yet to come. The only moment we truly have is the present, and in this moment, there is always room for peace, with love and clarity. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever noticed how much you tend to judge yourself and others? It's something many of us do without even realizing it. As we age, we may become more critical of ourselves, thinking we've wasted time or haven't done enough. But mindfulness teaches us to let go of these judgments. Instead of being hard on ourselves for the past or fearful about the future, we can simply accept ourselves as we are right now in this very moment. This kind of acceptance, true mindful acceptance, is profoundly liberating. It frees us from the heavy chains of regret and the invisible weight of fear. When we begin to meet each moment with presence instead of resistance, something begins to shift. We no longer carry the past like a burden or fear the future like a threat. We begin to live in the now, where life actually happens. Mindfulness is more than just a calming practice. It's a form of care, a way to tend to the mind like a cherished garden. As we grow older, it's natural for our mental sharpness to soften a bit. Names slip, thoughts scatter, and time feels as though it's speeding up. But mindfulness offers a way to slow down not just the day, but the aging of the mind itself. When we center our attention on the present, we are exercising awareness. It's a mental workout, not loud or forceful, but quietly powerful. This inner discipline strengthens our cognitive clarity and keeps us engaged with life. And when we're engaged, truly awake to the world around us, life becomes rich with meaning, not because everything is perfect, but because we are present enough to notice the beauty in its imperfection. Whether we are 30 or 70, the joy of being deeply connected to life never fades. In fact, as we age, the truth becomes clearer. Happiness has never truly come from achievements, titles, or possessions. It comes from the stillness within. The more we practice mindfulness, the more we realize that we were never meant to chase happiness. We were meant to discover it within ourselves, breath by breath, presence by presence. Mindfulness becomes the quiet art of inner cultivation. We stop searching for joy in the outer world and begin to build it within through simple grounded acts, breathing consciously, noticing the moment, honoring what is instead of resisting what isn't. And in this stillness, we find wisdom, a deep, ancient wisdom that whispers. Life is not something to conquer, but something to flow with. Aging is not an enemy to battle, but a river to trust. Just as seasons shift, flowers bloom and fall, and the moon waxes and wanes, so too do we move through the sacred phases of life. With mindfulness, we learn to greet these changes with grace, not fear. Time no longer feels like a thief. It becomes a teacher, and every moment becomes a gift. So how do we practice this as we age? It begins with gently. No grand rituals, no complex routines, just a moment each day to be still, to sit quietly, to feel the breath rise and fall, to notice the sensations in your body, the rhythm of your thoughts, the texture of your emotions. There's no need to fix, to judge, or to analyze. Only to witness, to be with what is, and let that be enough. As this practice deepens, so too does your awareness. You begin to see beauty in the overlooked, the sound of birdsong at dawn, the warmth of the sun on your skin, the familiar voice of someone you love. These are no longer passing details. They become treasures, sacred moments hidden in the ordinary. And the more you notice them, the more your life feels full, rich, not in things, but in presence. A powerful companion to mindfulness is gratitude. It's easy as the years pass to fall into the trap of loss, to focus on what has faded: youthful energy, physical strength, or a version of ourselves we no longer see in the mirror. But mindfulness gently shifts our gaze. It invites us to focus not on what's gone, but on what's been gained. Wisdom earned through struggle, strength forged in experienced love that is deepened with time. When we embrace this shift, something remarkable happens. We stop counting what we've lost and start cherishing what we've received. And in that recognition, we discover abundance, not of things, but of spirit. A quiet joy that doesn't depend on age, circumstance, or time. As you continue to practice mindfulness, you will find that your outlook on aging begins to shift. You will no longer see it as something to fear or resist, but as a natural and beautiful part of life. Every stage of life has its own gifts to offer. The key is to embrace each one with mindfulness, to live in the moment, and to find happiness in the present. No matter your age, you are capable of staying mentally clear, emotionally balanced, and spiritually young, all through the simple, powerful practice of mindfulness. So, my dear friend, I invite you to begin this journey today. Embrace mindfulness as a tool for aging gracefully. With each passing day, may you find deeper peace, greater clarity, and a profound sense of joy. And may you realize, as you continue to grow older, that the best years of your life are not behind you, but right in front of you, waiting to be lived fully, with mindfulness, with love, and with passion. A Buddhist response to social pressures. In today's world, it seems like everyone is comparing themselves to others. Whether it's your neighbor's new car, your colleague's promotion, or the lives portrayed on social media, there's always something that makes us feel like we're falling short. It's as if happiness is something that comes only when we have what others have, or when we achieve what others achieve. But the truth is, this constant comparison only brings frustration, stress, and dissatisfaction. So how can we step out of this trap and find real peace and happiness? Buddhism offers us a powerful lesson: compassion over comparison. In the teachings of the Buddha, we are reminded that true happiness does not come from what we have or what others think of us. It comes from understanding ourselves and others with kindness and compassion. Imagine if instead of looking at someone else's success and feeling jealous, you could look at them with compassion. Instead of comparing their life to yours, you could recognize that their happiness and achievements don't take anything away from you. In fact, their success can become a source of inspiration rather than insecurity. Buddhism teaches us that we are all connected. The joy of others should not make us feel less, but should remind us that we too can create our own happiness. This doesn't mean that we should stop striving for our goals, or that we shouldn't work hard to improve ourselves. It simply means that our sense of worth should not be tied to what others are doing. Your journey is unique, and comparing it to someone else's will only cloud the beauty of your own path. But it's difficult, isn't it? It's hard to let go of the constant pressure to measure up to others. We live in a world that constantly pushes us to do more, to be more, to have more. And when we don't reach those expectations, we start to feel like we're failing. But Buddhism asks us to pause and reflect. What are we truly striving for? Is it the approval of others, or is it peace within ourselves? When we let go of the need to compare, we can begin to live more authentically with a deeper sense of contentment that doesn't rely on external validation. Let's consider an example. Think about a time when you felt truly happy. Maybe it was a quiet moment with a loved one, or the joy of completing something meaningful. Did that happiness come from comparing yourself to someone else? Or did it come from within, from the satisfaction of being present in the moment or simply existing in a state of gratitude? This is the kind of happiness that Buddhism teaches us to cultivate, happiness that is independent of external factors and rooted in compassion for ourselves and others. In the heart of Buddhist practice, compassion transcends mere emotion. It becomes a profound way of life. It involves deeply understanding the struggles and challenges others face without judgment, while extending kindness both to them and to ourselves. Instead of perceiving others as rivals in life's race, we can view them as fellow travelers on the same journey. When we release the need for comparison and wholeheartedly embrace compassion, we cultivate an inner peace that remains unshaken by external circumstances. No longer do we measure our worth by celebrate, not compare. Instead of measuring your worth by others' standards, gauge it by the love and kindness you show to yourself and to others. Imagine the profound transformation that would occur if we all adopted this compassionate approach to life. Picture walking through your day without the oppressive weight of comparison on your shoulders. In this new perspective, the success of others no longer breeds envy, but instead inspires you. You stop judging yourself for not measuring up and begin to celebrate your own unique journey, recognizing that you are enough exactly as you are. This fundamental shift in perspective has the power to revolutionize your life, drawing you closer to the happiness you've been seeking. The more we practice compassion, the more we realize that it's not about being perfect or suppressing our natural thoughts and feelings. It's about gently guiding ourselves and others with understanding and care. By embracing compassion as a way of life, we create a ripple effect that can transform not only our own lives, but also the lives of those around us. Let this be the beginning of a journey toward greater happiness and peace, one compassionate step at a time. It's important to note that compassion is not just about being kind to others, it's also about being kind to yourself. We are often our harshest critics, holding ourselves to impossible standards and constantly comparing our progress to that of others. But the Buddha teaches us that true compassion starts with ourselves. If we can't be kind to ourselves, we'll struggle to show kindness to others. So how can you start being more compassionate toward yourself? It might be as simple as speaking kindly to yourself when you make a mistake, or giving yourself permission to take a break when you're feeling overwhelmed. By practicing self-compassion, you'll find that it becomes easier to extend that same kindness to others. When we let go of the need to compete and start embracing the idea of compassion, we begin to experience a deeper sense of freedom. We no longer feel trapped by the opinions of others or the societal pressures to keep up. Instead, we find peace in our own hearts, knowing that we are exactly where we need to be. The happiness we seek is not outside of us, it's within. And when we practice compassion, we open the door to that inner happiness, a happiness that is unshaken by comparison or judgment. So how can we start living with compassion and free ourselves from the cycle of comparison? First, we must become aware of the thoughts that lead to comparison. Pay attention to those moments when you catch yourself measuring your worth against someone else's. When that happens, gently remind yourself that your path is your own. No one else's journey is the same as yours, and that's something to celebrate. Experiences we hold on tightly, fearing that if we let go, we'll lose them forever. But what happens when we try to control, to cling, is that we end up suffocating the very thing we love. The flower wilts, and in our grasp we lose its beauty. Letting go gracefully, detachment without indifference, is about holding life with open hands. It's about embracing what comes fully, experiencing it, and then allowing it to pass, trusting that life's flow is natural and beautiful. This is not giving up or becoming cold. It's giving space for life to unfold as it must, for relationships to evolve, for moments to be lived without fear of losing them. A detached heart is not a heart that does not care. It is a heart that loves deeply, but is free from the need to possess. It's a heart that says, I cherish you, but I will not try to stop you from changing. Just as we love the seasons for their impermanence, we can love the people and moments in our lives, knowing they are not meant to remain forever. Imagine this, you're holding a flower in your hand. It's delicate, radiant, and alive. You smile at its beauty, and you feel grateful for it. But then, if you grip it too tightly, the petals crush, and the stem bends. The very thing you tried to hold on to begins to wither in your grasp. This is what happens when we try to hold on to people, moments, or experiences too tightly. The joy that came from them starts to fade when we try to possess it. This is why letting go, gracefully, detachment without indifference is essential for true peace. It's about being present with life, about loving and experiencing deeply without clinging. It's the understanding that nothing is permanent, and that is what makes it precious. So sit with me for a moment. No need to hurry. Just breathe and let the world slow down. Let go of the pressure to control, to possess, or to cling. Allow yourself to be fully present with what is without the need to grasp onto it. In that space, you'll find a quiet, steady peace. You'll find that life with all its changes is exactly as it should be, beautiful, fleeting, and full of grace. This is the art of letting go, the practice of detachment, and it is not about indifference. It is about love that is free, spacious, and allowing. Youth, status, and ideas. These are things we grasp because we're afraid. We fear change. We resist impermanence, but clinging only creates suffering. Letting go gracefully means bowing to the truth that everything is passing. Every breath you're taking will be gone in a moment, and that doesn't make it meaningless. It makes it sacred. There's an old Zen saying, "Let go or be dragged." And it's true. When you cling to what wants to leave an old identity, a fading relationship, a former version of yourself, you don't stop the loss. You only prolong the pain. But when you release it, you return to your center. You stand grounded, clear, and free. I once met a man who had lost everything, his home, his family, his wealth. He came to me, hollowed out by grief. "How do I stop the pain?" he asked. I looked at him gently and said, "You are not suffering because you lost everything. You are suffering because you are holding on to what is already gone." And in that moment, he understood. Letting go doesn't mean you stop loving. It means you stop trying to freeze what was never meant to be frozen. Life moves. People change, time flows forward. And so must we, with grace, with open hands, and with faith that whatever is meant for us will find us, and whatever is not will pass, leaving room for something new. So sit with your life. Let it unfold. Let it bloom and fade and bloom again. You don't need to force it. You only need to witness it with love, with stillness, with a heart that has learned how to hold without gripping, how to care, without clinging, how to love without fear. That is the art of letting go, and in it we find not loss, but freedom. He looked at me in silence for a long time, and then with tears in his eyes, he said, "I understand. We do not teach letting go because we want you to have less. We teach it because we want you to be free from the chains of attachment, free from the fear of loss, free from the burden of needing everything to stay the same. But how do you let go? It begins with awareness. Notice when your heart tightens, when your thoughts repeat the same story again and again, when you say, "I can't live without this." Ask yourself gently, is this true? Or is this a story I am clinging to? You will find over time that most of your suffering does not come from what happened, but from your refusal to let it go. Letting go is not a one-time act. It is a daily practice. You let go of yesterday so you can greet today. You let go of your pride so you can listen. You let go of the argument so you can keep the peace. You let go of who you were so you can grow into who you are becoming. And sometimes, letting go means allowing others to walk their path, even when you do not agree with it. You love them, yes, but you no longer try to control them. This is not weakness, it is wisdom. There is deep strength in surrender, not the surrender of defeat, but the surrender of trust. Trust in life, trusting time, trusting that even in loss, something is being given. Letting go does not mean forgetting. It means forgiving. It means softening. It means saying, I choose peace over pain. I choose flow over control. There is peace waiting for you, but it lives on the other side of your attachments. You do not need to let go of everything all at once. Start small, release a worry, release an old habit, release the need to always be right. Each release will feel like a breath of fresh air. You'll begin to feel lighter, freer, happier. Letting go gracefully is the art of living wisely. It is the heart of Buddhist practice. You're not throwing life away. You're simply opening yourself to all of it, without fear, without force, with presence, with compassion. You will still love. You will still care, but you will not suffer needlessly. So sit with this thought today. What can I let go of right now that is weighing me down? Perhaps it is a regret. Perhaps it is a resentment. Perhaps it is an image of who you think you should be. Release. Breathe it out and trust that in the empty space it leaves behind, something beautiful will bloom. Now let the silence say the rest. Living with intention, cultivating purpose beyond material success. We all search for meaning in our lives. We yearn to feel like we are contributing to something larger than ourselves, something that gives our lives a sense of purpose. But sometimes it feels like we're caught in the whirlwind of day-to-day existence, work responsibilities, relationships, and we forget why we're doing any of it. Our actions become automatic, our goals material, and in the process, we lose sight of what truly matters. This is a natural part of life, but it's also a place where the wisdom of Buddhism can bring us back to a deeper understanding. At the heart of Buddhism is the idea of living with intention. It's about being present in everything we do, not just going through the motions. It's about waking up each day with a clear understanding of what we truly want to achieve, not in terms of external success, but in terms of internal peace and fulfillment. It's easy to get distracted by what society tells us we should want: money, status, power, success. But when we chase after these things without considering the deeper purpose behind them, we can easily feel empty and lost. Think about it for a moment. When was the last time you did something simply because it brought you joy? Something that didn't require validation from others. Something that made you feel connected to yourself. Often our lives are so filled with striving, with trying to be successful according to the world's standards, that we forget to ask ourselves, why am I doing this? What is my true purpose? In Buddhism, the concept of intention is central. In every action, whether big or small, there's the possibility of mindful intention. This understands our deeper motivations. Living with intention isn't just about setting grand goals for the future. It's about understanding those motivations and aligning our actions with our values. Living with intention requires a certain level of awareness. It means paying attention to the choices you make, recognizing when you're acting out of habit, and asking yourself, are these actions aligned with my true values? Are they moving me closer to the life I want to live, or pulling me further away? It's a process of continuous reflection, making small adjustments each day to ensure that your actions are intentional and meaningful. One of the most profound aspects of living with intention is understanding that our actions, no matter how small, create ripples in the world. Every word we speak, every gesture we make, every choice we take affects those around us. The more we live with intention, the more we shape our reality in ways that reflect our deepest values. This is why the Buddhist teachings emphasize compassion, kindness, and mindfulness. They are not just practices for our own well-being, but tools for creating a better world for others too. When we live with purpose, we begin to understand that true happiness isn't found in acquiring things or reaching certain milestones. Instead, it's found in how we relate to the world and how we live our lives. It's found in the depth of our relationships, the way we show up for others, and the peace we cultivate within ourselves. Living with intention allows us to focus on what really matters, rather than getting caught up in the distractions that often pull us away from what's truly fulfilling. The beauty of Buddhist practice is that it teaches us that we don't need to go anywhere or become anything else to find purpose. All we need to do is return to ourselves, to the present moment, and to the understanding that happiness and purpose are not outside of us, they are within us. Every breath you take, every step you choose is an invitation to live with intention, to move through life awake, not asleep, to respond, not react, to shape a life that reflects your deepest values, not one built on unconscious habit or external expectation. But let's be honest, living with intention isn't easy. It requires courage. It asks us to pause in a world that's always rushing. It calls us to look inward with honesty, to examine the quiet motives beneath our actions. Why are we chasing success? Is it because it truly lights us up, or because we believe it will finally make us enough? Why are we nurturing certain relationships? Is it out of love, or out of guilt, fear, or obligation? To live intentionally is to stop running on autopilot. It's to slow down and ask the deeper questions. It's to listen not just to the noise of the world, but to the still small voice within. The more we practice mindfulness, the more clearly we begin to see our true path, guided not by external pressures, but by our inner wisdom. Begin to see the subtle difference between living with purpose and living by default. When we live by default, life happens to us. We react, we absorb, we move through our days, following scripts we didn't write. But when we live with intention, we become the authors of our own story. We respond with clarity, we act with presence, and we choose again and again to align our lives with what truly matters. This is where the wisdom of the Eightfold Path comes in, not as a rigid set of rules, but as a gentle, powerful framework for living. It's a compass that doesn't just point us forward, but inward. This path is not about perfection. It's about alignment. Alignment with truth, with kindness, with awareness, with peace. Each fold of the path invites us to live more consciously, to act with compassion, to speak with integrity, to think with clarity, to view the world without distortion, and to walk gently with humility and presence. This is not a doctrine. It's a way of being. It is the art of becoming fully human, rooted, open, and intentional. As we continue to walk this path, something beautiful begins to unfold. We become less reactive, more steady, less entangled in chaos, more grounded in peace. We begin to live not as someone constantly striving, but as someone constantly aligning with truth, with purpose, with what is real. So today, ask yourself, are you living by design or by default? Are your choices aligned with your truth, or are they shaped by fear, habit, or the expectations of others? Every moment is a chance to realign. Every breath is a reminder that you're not just here to survive, you're here to live. And when you live with intention, the ordinary becomes sacred, the simple becomes meaningful, and your life becomes something you no longer feel the need to chase, but something you're finally present enough to fully inhabit. Yet let's be candid, it is not always an easy path to tread. Life by its very nature is unpredictable. It hurls curveballs at us when we least expect them. People may disappoint us, our bodies inevitably age, and our minds can become overwhelmed by the chaos of modern existence. But even in these moments of turmoil, we hold a profound power within us, the power of choice. We can choose to respond to life's challenges, not with frustration or fear, but with mindfulness, compassion, and acceptance. We can choose to discover joy, even in the midst of adversity. This is the enduring strength of Buddhist wisdom. It does not advocate for avoiding life's difficulties, but for navigating them with grace and resilience. You might find yourself wondering, can this truly work for me? Can I genuinely live this way, despite the countless responsibilities and challenges that fill my days? The answer is a resounding yes, but it demands commitment. It requires patience, and above all, a willingness to is not a quick fix, a band-aid for life's wounds. It emerges through consistent effort, through mindfulness cultivated moment by moment, through the art of being fully present in every experience, no matter how mundane or difficult. This journey of personal growth, of awakening, of becoming, is never walked alone. It may feel inward, quiet, and intimate, but it is anything but isolated. As we nourish our own well-being, as we choose peace over chaos and compassion over judgment, we become a quiet flame in a world hungry for warmth. A single light, yes, but one that has the power to ignite many. Buddhist wisdom reminds us of an eternal truth. We are not separate. We are strands in a vast interwoven tapestry of life. Every thought we think, every action we take, every vibration of energy we carry sends ripples across the fabric of existence. Sometimes we see their impact, often we don't. But rest assured, what we put into the world never goes unnoticed by the universe. Consider this a simple act of kindness, a smile, a word of encouragement, a moment of grace extended when none was required. That small gesture might echo in someone else's life more powerfully than you'll ever know. It might inspire them to do the same for another, and so the ripple expands. It's like dropping a pebble into still water. The rings widen, touching new shores. That is the quiet revolution of compassion. That is how healing multiplies. And now, as we draw this journey to a close, I invite you to pause, breathe, and reflect. Think back on where we began with a shared desire to understand suffering. Not to avoid it, not to numb it, but to learn how to transform it. We walked together through the heart of Buddhist teachings, not as dogma, but as guiding truths. We explored the Four Noble Truths, the nature of impermanence, the path to inner peace, and the radiant power of presence. Step by step, lesson by lesson, we discovered that joy is not the absence of pain, but the wisdom to walk through life with open eyes and a steady heart. And now, here we are at the final chapter. But in truth, there is no final chapter, because the path continues. The circle completes not in an ending, but in a return to the self, to the present, to the sacred simplicity of now. A joyful life rooted in Buddhist wisdom is not built overnight. It is cultivated breath by breath, moment by moment, act by act. And as you continue forward, may you remember your journey matters, your growth touches others, and your light, however quiet, has the power to heal far more than just yourself. It's easy to think that happiness is something we can only find in fleeting moments, when things go right, when we get what we want, when the world around us feels peaceful. But true happiness, modern existence. But even in these moments of turmoil, we hold a profound power within us, the power of choice. We can choose to respond to life's challenges, not with frustration or fear, but with mindfulness, compassion, and acceptance. We can choose to discover joy, even in the midst of adversity. This is the enduring strength of Buddhist wisdom. It doesn't advocate for avoiding life's difficulties, but for navigating them with grace and resilience. You might find yourself wondering, can this truly work for me? Can I genuinely live this way, despite the countless responsibilities and challenges that fill my days? The answer is a resounding yes. But it demands commitment. It requires patience, and above all, a willingness to practice again and again, even when progress seems imperceptible. Happiness. The kind that Buddhism speaks of is something deep. It's not dependent on the outside world. It doesn't come and go based on circumstances. It's a state of being that is rooted in our own understanding and acceptance of life as it is. You see, life will always have its ups and downs. There will always be challenges, losses, and moments of pain, but there will also be moments of joy, peace, and love. The key is not to chase after one and try to avoid the other. The key is to accept them both fully, without resistance. This is the heart of Buddhist wisdom. Buddhism teaches us that happiness is not something we need to search for outside ourselves. It's something we create from within. It's about being present, being mindful, and embracing the impermanence of life. Everything around us, including our own emotions, will come and go. The trick is not to become attached to them, not to let them define us. We are more than our feelings, more than our thoughts, more than our circumstances. We are the awareness behind it all. Now let's talk about impermanence for a moment. Everything in life is changing. This is a truth that we often resist. We want things to stay the same because it feels safer that way. But the reality is that nothing stays the same. People grow older. Seasons change, even our thoughts and emotions are in constant flux. And that's okay. In fact, it's beautiful. Because if everything were static, nothing would have meaning. It's the very fact that everything changes that allows us to experience growth, learning, and yes, happiness. By embracing impermanence, we learn to let go. We stop holding on to things, whether they're material possessions, relationships, or even past hurts that no longer serve us. Letting go doesn't mean we stop caring. It means we stop clinging to what we cannot control and make space for the new, the fresh, and the present. This is the freedom that comes from understanding the nature of life itself. The Eightfold Path, a cornerstone of Buddhist philosophy that we've explored throughout this series, is not merely a set of rules to follow. It is in essence a profound way of being a harmonious alignment with both the world and our inner selves. This path guides us to act with unwavering kindness, to speak with unyielding truth, to think with crystalline clarity, and to traverse life with heightened awareness. Though simple in its principles, it leads to profound and meaningful transformation. By embracing it, we gradually become more grounded, more serene, and more deeply connected to the world around us. Yet let's be candid, it is not always an easy path to tread. Life by its very nature is unpredictable. It hurls curveballs at us when we least expect them. People may disappoint us. Our bodies inevitably age, and our minds can become overwhelmed by the chaos of modern existence. But through it all, the Eightfold Path offers a guide, a way to live that transforms difficulties into opportunities for growth and wisdom. Modern existence. But even in these moments of turmoil, we hold a profound power within us, the power of choice. We can choose to respond to life's challenges not with frustration or fear, but with mindfulness, compassion, and acceptance. We can choose to discover joy, even in the midst of adversity. This is the enduring strength of Buddhist wisdom. It does not advocate for avoiding life's difficulties, but for navigating them with grace and resilience. You might find yourself wondering, can this truly work for me? Can I genuinely live this way, despite the countless responsibilities and challenges that fill my days? The answer is a resounding yes. But it demands commitment. And that's it. It requires patience, and above all, a willingness to practice again and again. even when progress seems imperceptible. Happiness is not a quick fix, a band-aid for life's wounds. It emerges through consistent effort, through mindfulness cultivated moment by moment, through the art of being fully present in every experience, no matter how mundane or difficult. Moreover, this journey of personal growth does not occur in isolation. As we nurture our own well-being and contentment, we become a beacon of light for others. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that we are all interwoven threads in the vast tapestry of existence. Our actions, our thoughts, our very energy, these elements ripple outward and touch the lives of those around us in ways we may never fully comprehend. Consider the gentle act of practicing kindness. It might inspire someone else to do the same, creating a chain reaction of compassion. It is akin to tossing a small pebble into a pond. The ripples it generates spread far beyond our sight, influencing lives we've never even met. As we arrive at this final reflection, remember this is not the end. In truth, your journey is just beginning. The wisdom of Buddhism was never meant to be a destination, a place you arrive, check off, and leave behind. It is a living, breathing path, a daily invitation to wake up, to return to remember who you are beneath all the noise. Each morning brings with it the quiet miracle of renewal, a fresh breath, a clean slate, a chance to begin again. It is in these simple beginnings that transformation takes root. With every sunrise, you are given another opportunity to return to the present moment, to release the weight of what no longer serves you, and to plant new seeds of mindfulness, compassion, and peace. Happiness, as you've come to see, is not something waiting for you at the end of a finish line. It is not earned through accomplishments or acquired through possessions. It is not found in the world's applause. It is something far quieter, far closer. It is a way of being, a state you return to again and again by choosing presence over distraction, love over fear, and stillness over striving. The teachings we've walked through together are not just ancient wisdom. They are living tools, gentle, powerful instruments meant to shape a life filled with ease, clarity, and connection. They are the compass you can hold close when the path grows uncertain. They are the light you can kindle in dark moments. They are the breath you can return to when the world feels overwhelming. So as you step forward, carry this wisdom with you, not as a burden, but as a blessing. Let it soak into your actions, your words, your way of being. Let it guide your relationships, your choices, your moments of doubt. And most importantly, trust in your own capacity for joy, no matter what life throws your way. You hold within you the unshakable ability to remain rooted in peace. You were never meant to be perfect. That was never the point. The real goal, if there is one, is presence, compassion, authenticity. It's living a life that reflects your heart, not your ego. Meeting the world with open hands, not clenched fists. Becoming a soft place in a hard world that is the real work. That is the real freedom. Thank you for walking this path, for opening your heart to these teachings, and for allowing this journey to unfold. It has been an honor to walk beside you, even for a little while. If these words have stirred something in you, I invite you to pass them on. Let this wisdom ripple outward. Let it reach others who may be searching. Let your journey become a light for someone else's. And wherever your path may lead, always remember this: you are not lost. You are not broken. You are on the path. You are enough. And happiness is not beyond you. It is within you, waiting to be chosen, waiting to be felt, waiting to be lived, one mindful breath at a time. May your days be filled with peace, May your steps be steady, and may your life in all its seasons be rich with the quiet joy of simply being.